Let me not do a mobile and hit start streaming instead of start recording.
I mean, this is public information. Fine.
Yeah, but next thing you know, I'll just see things
You never
going,
know.
hey man, you're online. Why are you here? Oh, you guys are up? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's me and Dave. We're just fucking around.
Very true.
My name is Zeroko Gamer, and I am here with the amazing OG Diamond Dave. How's it going, man?
It is fantastic. We're having a great day. How about you?
It is a fun day. Season 14's over. I know we're gonna have that little spat of Ultimate 16. Whoop-de-doo. But Ultimate 15 is right around the corner. I think there's some interesting rules in there. One or two rooms that we've had before. One that they mixed up, and then you get to laugh at Dorky every time on room 6 with his Dorky's broken headset. But I think we're gonna have a fun
Looking
season.
forward to that. Looking forward. I want to know how many more headsets will break because of this room. That's what I want to know.
I'm hoping that it works right and it doesn't work or it doesn't get messed up by Nightcrawler again. So I'm hoping,
Yeah.
but we both know there's a really small chance of that happening. But we'll see what happens. But going over the room rules, we're just going to give a nice little quick, some helpful hints maybe to throw at you. Nothing too drastic out there. We're not going to push teams out on you or whatever, but just to look at in case you weren't thinking about it, because I think totally different than Dave. Dave thinks totally different than me. So trying to just give a good hint out to everybody out there. But the Harbinger characters, because the trade is in game because the new event's out, and 2 teams are on it, which is basically Vigilantes and Thunderbolts. And on successful hit, primary target has trauma, perform an ISO attack. And this could be massive for a couple of characters because they do hit. These 2 teams do got the new stats, so they are going to hit hard. I'm kind of excited if I can do this with Punisher, because if he hits somebody with trauma and then does another attack, oh my god, he's gonna knock somebody out. Any recommendations here for you?
Overpower the hell out of your Harbingers. It's that simple. Make sure that they are higher gear tier, higher ISO level, higher character level than your opponents. But no, yeah, I think that that's a big one, right? Like, thinking that through and how you want to handle that. Know that these characters might be the characters and teams you use for your biggest punch ups. And then obviously, if you can leverage the overpower system to your advantage, you better do it.
I agree, because there's anything that Dave is, he is Mr. Overpower. So damn right he's gonna push it. We know the normal global stuff that happens. Blah blah. You get the stuff on there already. But combat support, you're just getting vulnerables for whichever ISO that you perfectly have on your characters. Usually, you do have a couple of raiders, maybe a skirmisher every now and then. Fortifier, sometimes. Healer, you rarely see him now, but strikers you're probably going to see a lot. And if you get 3 vulnerables on them, you still get the extra damage from it. But 20 vulnerables is really ridiculous. However, when you're attacking, the vulnerables on you actually count even more. So I'm kind of thinking I want to put endgame in here, just because everybody tries to go first and tries not touch them, but then you hit them, he gets a vulnerable on him. Oh my god, that rain of fire. Any hints for you?
Yeah, this is an interesting one, right? We saw this room before. We saw some fun interactions when you load up with you got skirmisher and striker interactions. This is going to be a fun one. Definitely makes me want to reconsider that Orcus APOC defense, that we had last season. Maybe APOC stays around for offense to make sure that Thanos endgame goes down without having to see that passive. I think that is going to be a big one. But this is going to be a real fun one to kind of play with the ISOs of existing teams. And then you have to also consider the more you hit into a Harbinger team, and if they happen to ping you back because they got trauma on you with all those extra vulnerables, there's a lot of really interactions here. So not only you have to consider the global rooms, but this room rule, but also the global rules. I'm looking out for those key interactions between those for sure. And then obviously damage reduction is going to be big. Cabal is going to be a fun one to see with the extra damage and also some damage reduction. So maybe they can take some hits, but they're old stats. These are all the things that I'm thinking about as we're almost 2 weeks or 10 days away from this. Those are the things that run through my mind on stage 1.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of interactions with the ISOs and a lot with I like Vigilante on offense, so I'm trying to use them on offense because they're just so much fun with it. And then just watching, I mean, the animations are hilarious, but I don't, you know what? I have no problem letting Hitmonkey get hit because he screams every time he gets hit, and it's just hilarious hearing that monkey just the sound go off, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, I'm playing with Hitmonkey. I keep forgetting.
I gotta turn the sound on in my game now.
Yeah,
that's a reminder, friends. If you don't have your sound on, you better do it.
It's so hilarious because you're just like, and you're just like, oh goddamn, there was Hitmonkey just got hit again. I know he got hit. Okay. Stage 2. On turn, if this character has taunt, gain offense up. On turn, apply assist now to all allies with offense up. All this room makes me think of every character that could have offense up. And the big ones that I think of are, I know they're a little older, but they're still very useful. Superior 6 and Guardian, because he gives you offense up to everybody. How about you?
I like this one. This room is really interesting. It's going to be really neat. As an official content creator here, I'm here to tell you to put your liberty in this room. It will get you wins every single time. Wait, I don't think that's how that works. But yeah, I think one of the funnest things we can do is figure out how do we get taunt on our own characters, right? So if you've got a Mephisto on offense, he likes to apply taunt, on that special. So it's going to be an interesting way to figure out how can you get some additional taunts on your own team and then hopefully keep the taunts off of the other team, right? This makes a team that does have a lot of taunts on defense, a team like Immortal where you can't gain them taunt, it kind of nullifies some of the room rules. So those are the things that come to mind right away. But yeah, I like teams that go fast quickly, and I do like teams that are able to get offense real fast, and those extra assists super strong. I have a feeling we're going to see Illuminati in this room a lot, so those assists become kind of non-starters. It'll be an interesting one to see how it all plays out, and when people really get into the nitty-gritty of what to put here in this room.
Waiting for it. Negative energy for stage 3. Special abilities cost 4 less. On successful critical hit, reduce target's ultimate ability energy by 1. So Raiders will probably be used a lot more often in here. However, that first one there, that special ability costs 4 less, a lot of the specials really are maybe around 4 to 5, maybe 6 for the huger characters, but they're all really right around that point. So if they're 4, they basically can do their special over and over and over again. And I'm scared of a lot of characters that could do that. Sus is a pain in the ass. He just reduces turn meter. Jesus, I want to use Sus now. Don't put him on defense, put him on offense just to have fun. How about you?
Yep. Yeah, that immediately pops into my head. I think of characters like Kahori, who could special every turn. I mean, just think of the fun interactions we could have with that character. So, and when you think of these interactions, you're going to want to make sure that you consider using them on offense, because when they're on defense, there's pretty easy things you can shut down those characters with. Obviously, any speed manipulation is going to be helpful. Starjammers or Illuminati, potentially Cabal, and Immortal. Well, we got a lot of speed manipulation offensive teams that we could use, but thinking through what those look like, Immortal, they love their specials, right? So now being able to special over and over each turn, super interesting interactions in this room. I'm excited to see what we can come up with as a community. But yeah, again, also the critical hits, think of the characters that have high block chances to, not allow those critical hits so they can keep their ultimates. If you end up ultimating if you end up critting into some characters that require their ultimates, think about those before you put them on defense for sure.
This one's going to be interesting. Those are the first 3 rooms. Now we got room 4. Do damage that reduces the max health of the target by the same amount. Have 50% max health on ally death, bury yourself for 100% of this character's max health. Now, we've had half of this room before, but not the reduced max health in there. That was more give you barrier on it. So now it's reducing it, and I'm trying to just think like, okay, even with the 50% max health and damage, they just kind of negate each other just a little, depending on how much health and damage they give out. But if you can go first and start wiping out part of the team should fall over. But I'm really interested to see how fast, or how if you're going to put speedy teams in here. So any recommendations you got?
Yeah, I see this room and I can just imagine Odin slowly swiping your max health away, right? Just watching that disappear right off the screen and seeing how that goes, right? This is a room where it feels like things are going great and then all of a sudden they're just not. So I'm super interested to see what we end up coming up with here. Again, there's no really uncounterable rooms. There's no real anything that is totally off limits. This is a very interesting one when I think about Professor X, who already reduces max health by the same amount. And now it feels like we're going to have a lot of those mechanics, and maybe they're spread across multiple rooms. And so it feels like we may have some defensive rules that kind of stretch us a little bit, after having such heavy offenses the past couple seasons. It's super interesting. But yeah, this one, I need more time to think on this room. There's so many ways that I just watched the Odin in my head over and over again, and it's like, how are we going to stop that? What are we going to do to combat that?
Yeah, like Odin is fast, but then it doesn't matter. The moment he does his special, you're just like, okay, this is not going to go well. This really is not going in my favor. There's got to be some way to kill him. But once he starts swiping, it's just like, well, it's sooner or later, unless something turns the tide, and usually it doesn't. Even with the Odin, yeah. Which it could go either way, but still, you're just like, oh my god, this isn't gonna go. This doesn't look like.
Yeah, the first one that starts swiping there has the massive advantage here for sure.
Stage 5, I guess they swapped out mutants for thunderbolts, and we don't even have all the thunderbolts yet. So, but by the time we do get around to this, we should have at least most of them. So. When a character's attack, generate 1 ability energy, and they get some crit and focus. So, for me, it's a throwaway room. I'm just gonna throw some team in there, maybe something that's got really good synergy together. I mean, you could just keep the mutants in there if you wanted to, no biggie, and just use a couple of Thunderbolt characters. I am having fun with Ghost and Taskmaster. Not Ghost, yeah, they're just ridiculous. I mean, Taskmaster was already great. Ghost was cool, but yeah. I love her retaliates. Her retaliates just keep reducing turn meter, and as long as they don't bring in somebody that stops that, yay! I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So that's at least my recommendation. What I'm gonna think of using. How about you?
I agree. This room screams something like an Orcus or something like that. You may want to put your Scarlet Witch team here if you're still considering running one of those. Kind of get the 100% crit chance on the pings. Obviously it would be fantastic if it was more than just the Thunderbolt characters, but with the room rules being there, it's kind of my throwaway room, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't. Until we get them, but even when you get the Thunderbolts, it's kind of like, I really don't want to be attacked. I want to kill them all before they attack me, because if they attack me, they might stop me or stun me or do something bad. So no, I don't want them to attack me. But the extra crit, the focus, that might help, but we won't know until we got all 5, and that's still a couple weeks away. So, all right, the amazing room 6, because room 6 usually is broken in some way, and they kind of just made fun of it. So Dorky's broken headset, which is hilarious, and this one is just mean. On turn, remove safeguard and trauma from all characters. On successful attack, copy and clear all positive effects. Wow. I'm pretty sure this still is going to go through a resistance check for the copy, well, the clear part, but if it's actually doing it, then wow, this is going to be a really big hurt, because you do want to keep safeguard to prevent some bad things happening, and you want trauma to stay over there, but the moment I take a turn, it's all gone. So oof, I feel bad for a lot of characters that do a lot of positive effects, and there are some characters that start off with none, so that might help. But I don't know. If Red Hulk had
It's exactly where
stats,
my
I'd
head
be
goes.
happy. I'd be ecstatic to use them, but I'm just like, maybe not.
Yeah, your head went to the same spot that mine did. Is what can I do on defense that will be affect neutral, that won't give my opponent the benefit of the effects. I mean, like we're not going to use spiders anywhere on defense, at least not in this season. But if imagine you did, right, and all those positive effects every time you attacked one of them, you just stole them. Like that would be just absolutely tragic. To be real honest with you, it would be very very difficult. And with all the regions, and I mean the count, it just depends on where you're at. I'm going to be looking at things like Night Stalkers, right? Very little buffs, very little things for somebody to steal and take, something along those lines. I'm still not 100% sure what I'm putting in there, but and then you have to be super careful on the team that you bring into it, right? You bring a Superior 6 into this room, and you've got all the buffs from your team, and the next thing you accidentally let someone else take a turn, and whoop, what effects? They're now your opponent's effects. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this room plays out. But I know my first iteration of defense, I'm going to be looking at what can I do that is powerful, but not because of the positive effects that they've got.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head what I could use where I was just like, man, that first turn, I don't want to give them nothing. I want them to have, I don't want them to copy anything. You come in whatever you got, and maybe you get a defense up or something like that. That's great. But I don't need you grabbing everything that I got, especially immunity. I definitely don't want to come in here with immunity and you grab that. Now I can't land nothing. Thanks, bro. No, I don't want to do that. So we're just going to have to plan it out, think a little bit, and the next thing you know, boom, we'll maybe have a decent plan, but these are still some hints that we're just going through. I'm excited for them. Granted, season 14's done. We're going with Ultimate 16 in a bit, but season 15 sounds a little bit. It's got a little bit more where we got to think a little bit, just a little bit, and maybe I don't know. I think the Harbinger attacks are going to make people really think where to use at least vigilantes right away for the double hits if you get them. But a lot of the rooms seem fun-ish, except for 5. 5 can just stay whatever the hell it is. But
I agree. I don't know that any of these are like game-breakingly impactful, where it's like, oh, you've got to put this team here, and this is the right way, And I'm sure we'll flush it out as a community, and we may end up there at some point. But we've got 5 room rules that seem very interesting. I'm optimistic about it. And I'm hoping that they are, a little bit more impactful than the rules we've seen lately. So it feels like we're trending that way.
Yeah, and I'm hoping people enjoy the 5 rooms that actually have something to do with it, and then the 6th room you could just put in wherever the hell you want. I just want to make sure that it's like this season wasn't as bad. It was really fun to try to do each of these rooms where you weren't going, oh my god, let's just get rid of it. This one looks like it's going to be another one, especially with the global rules can actually interact a lot with the actual rules of the room, where it's not like, oh, here's some 10% health and call it a day. No, they gave you something different, something else to think of on top of what you're thinking here. So a little bit of thought. I know some of the community doesn't want to do that, but there are some of us that want to play the game. Sorry. But this I think it'll be nice to see. And plus, when they finally update the Crucible rewards, hopefully they do that and we actually see what they give and people are happy. I hope. I'm not guaranteeing
I hope so
anything.
Too. Yeah, I hope so too. I love the Intel idea. We got to see how it's all going to work out, right? There's a chance that we each see some of these numbers and think they're a little bit low, but we have to consider that once you put it all together, you get War and you get Crucible and you get raids and all of it coming together. We'll have to see how that feels and then make a judgment on that as we go. But yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic that we're headed in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, and if the worst comes to worst, we'll just blame Duel 'em. Screw it. That's the best way to go to it. Just blame Duel 'em. That's the way it works.
That's how it works.
But I do have to just acknowledge the fact that we got our new envoy, not the newest, but our new envoy, OG Diamond Dave here. He's He's now in that special, interesting gang that knows all the stuff. Actually, we don't, because Quick Draw data mines everything, and we find out after Quick Draw does it. So, whatever. But
I get my news from Quick Draw. What do you mean?
yeah, we always get our updates from Quick Draw. Shoot, screw Scopely. They're not really doing it now, but I want to thank OG Diamond Dave for jumping on for a bit, just to help out, give his thoughts on the new season rules. Anything you want to shout out or say what you're doing with anything?
No, just wanted to say, hey, thanks for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun. Look forward to doing more of these with you and all the envoys, and just be happy to be part of the team.
Oh, dude, it's gonna get fun when we start arguing over which team's got to do this or that, or when certain stuff comes down the pipeline. But hey, you guys got to wait. We don't. But I will put Dave's links down in the description below. Go check him out for sure. He's all over Twitch. He's populating up on YouTube. He's doing some really good stuff, and I will see you guys next time. But thank you, Dave, for jumping on. And my name is Zero Cool Gamer, OG Diamond Dave, the amazing, the best, and we're rolling out.